Hey everybody, you're listening to the BTW Media Podcast, the show that explores the stories, innovations, and insights for people who love technology and the internet. In today's episode, we were excited to welcome Drishdey, the founder and CEO of TEXpert AI, from managing billions in assets to now empowering businesses and financial institutions to integrate social and governance risks into their decisions. Drishdey is making a significant impact in the industry. With advanced data analytics and generative AI, TEXpert AI is driving transparency in sustainability and investment strategies. In this conversation, we'll explore how Drishdey is using AI to reshape corporate decisions, championing sustainability and social responsibility, and how women are at the forefront of this important change. Don't miss out, it can be an inspiring discussion. Hi everyone, this is Faye from BTW Media, and this is Drishdey. Drishdey, it's a pleasure to meet you. Your transition from managing billion in assets to becoming an AI and ML strategist is truly impressive, and your mission with TEXpert AI to align finance with social impact is inspiring. Could you please give us a short self-introduction?
Hi, I'm Drishdey. I'm the founder and CEO of TEXpert AI. Prior to that, I worked for Deutsche Bank and ICICI, so I've been managing risks for multi-billion-dollar balance sheets globally for almost a decade. And then I quit my job after navigating financial crisis, so I embarked on a purpose-driven journey, and that's how TEXpert AI was born. So the aim is really to align finance with social impact so that decisions made in boardrooms can actually be aligned with people's lives.
Yes, that's lovely. I'm excited to hear more about your work and how generative AI is driving sustainability in the financial sector. And I have a question for you. So the first one is TEXpert AI is designed to help financial firms and corporations integrated social sustainability into their decisions. Could you share how your platform use generative AI to influence investment decisions and direct capital toward responsible business? And what specific impact have you seen so far?
Yeah, absolutely. If we take financial firms, for instance, the main problem right now to drive sustainability is data, of course. It's not really not having data. So access to data is there. They've got the money to spend on data, but to make sense of that information and to have it at the right time is the problem they are facing when they're trying to invest in a company. How do they know whether the company is generating any social good or has underlying social risk? So this type of information is really hard to get because the nature of social data is that it's completely textual, unstructured, and qualitative in nature. So it's really hard to look at it as a metric that you would fit in your financial model or in your valuation model, for instance. So the way that we enable that is we use generative AI to turn unstructured information into investment-ready metrics. So decision-ready metrics, I would say more precisely. So what happens is if you're a portfolio manager, you can literally have a conversation with your data lake. So let's say you have a list of 10 companies that you're looking at and you want to know whether these companies have any underlying social risk or they are generating any social value. You can literally ask that question to your data lake and the algorithm is going to look for the information in various reports as well as any information that we have scraped and put in that data lake to give an answer. So it is accompanying decision making in investment as opposed to looking at sustainability as, after the fact analysis. Now, if you look at corporates, for instance, the need is a bit different for corporates. It's more down to their supply chains. For instance, if you want to do business with a company, how do you know that whether this company is not actually doing something good, like is engaged in forced labor, for instance? So it could be that the company is not paying its employees well, or there are problems of diversity, equity, and inclusion. There's a big pay gap, or they're not paying minimum living wage. So all of these problems can actually hurt their supply chains. And highlighting this in the early stage can make them take better decisions so that they are dealing with companies that are not only doing social good, but also not doing anything bad on the social side. So if you're looking at social value, then we can also enable you to see which companies are aligned with the different SDGs. So which companies are doing activities that are, let's say, for instance, aligned with SDG 1, which is reducing poverty or that sort of mandate. So that's how we enable it, essentially.
Yes, That's a good point, actually, because nowadays everyone is talking about ESG, right? There's total 17, right?
Yeah, there are 17 UN SDGs. To be honest, it's very tied to the same framework as the ESG framework. So it's down to climate, people.
Yes.
So it's the other two main.
And poverty is the first one, just as you mentioned.
Yeah.
And I remember probably the ecosystem or the temperature
Yeah.
and the ocean.
Net zero.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So we're primarily a social sustainability platform, but we see that E, S, and G, they are very intertwined. So if you look at people, you can't really not look at environment and vice versa. Although our USP is really turning unstructured data into this like investment decision ready metrics, we focus a lot on the social side, but we also look at the environmental critical metric like carbon emission, GHG emission, carbon footprint, and you'll see that most reporting actually need a little bit of everything. So if we are also enabling automated reporting on the platform, we have to be across the board.
Definitely focusing the ESG, probably the mainstream in the future as for the startup or enterprise. Okay, so the second question is that one of your key focuses is using data to amplify the voices of the underrepresented. Could you share the recent example where your data-driven approach helped bring about more equitable outcomes, particularly in the context of investment and corporate decision-making?
Yes, absolutely. So in the context of investment, we've helped the allocation of capital towards more female-led businesses, for instance. So that is tackling a systemic imbalance where you see in the investment world, female-founded companies get less than 2% funding, the whole of VC funding. So we help in setting up those funds that actually target female-founded companies and help them grow. So that is tackling, if you were to look at it from a UN SDG perspective, it would be reducing inequalities. It would be also gender equality. So these are big problems that are really hard to kind of eradicate in one go. But our product actually helps identify those businesses and bring them to light when investors can see them and then allocate capital to them. So that's one way that we do it in an investment context that we've seen the impact. And the second on the corporate side is really when we've brought to light those small businesses that actually don't have a chance of really getting a contract with a large corporate. And the way it happens there is that we enable them to see in their supply chain which businesses actually do meet their requirements first, of course. That's a pre-requirement. And then the second part is how can you generate impact through that business, small business that you can, actually give a small contract to, whether you're able to create more jobs in that industry or whether that business is headquartered in let's say, an area which has a deprived area. So then you'd be creating jobs in an area which is deprived. So your economic impact is actually growing essentially by just doing one thing. We're just kind of highlighting the one supply that would have literally get lost or buried under layers of bureaucracy. So.
Yes. The next question is for the gender equity, just like you said. Having worked in highly male-dominated role for over the decades, how have you seen the financial industry evolve in terms of gender diversity? Because I am also the woman. I also have this question here.
Yeah. Well, I have left trading floor and financial services a long time ago. In my time, it was very, very male dominated. So there were just a couple of women maybe on the floor. I think that things are changing, but that doesn't mean that, it's changing in the right way as well. So D&I diversity and all of that has been misunderstood. So in the US, as you can see, things have been done a bit savagely in the sense like just hiring people because of their diversity criteria is not really the right way of looking at D&I. So obviously you need to have the skills required. You need to have the skills that's not in the team. So that's the first requirement that needs to be there. So once that is checked, then if there's any opportunity to bring in people from different life experience, instead of just looking at gender, but more serious situations like, socioeconomic background, for instance, if they give signs of people going through a lot of trouble, actually have more grit, have a different approach to work itself. So you're bringing all sorts of skills to make a team that is going to kind of withstand all the different pressures. So that is very important. I think like the way that things have been improving essentially seem to be just a tick box exercise. So because there were regulations, so they started recruiting more women, no clear career path for that, no clear training provided. I wouldn't say training per se, because there's this perception that women need training. Women don't need additional training. They are good. They just need to feel included inclusive. We just need to have the same opportunity. As an entrepreneur, what I see a lot is when you have female kind of geared initiatives, it's all about, let's help them understand how to build a business, or let's help them understand how to run a business. It's like there's this underlying assumption that we don't know.
So this kind of project is just for women?
For women, so it's intended to be for the benefit of women, but it has an underlying, it's implying that we do not know. Instead of accepting how we do things differently, embedding that, what we're doing is we're creating separate pillars and telling, we're doing this for women, but we never really needed more training. So I've seen that a lot. I mean, I've been in the industry for a bit more than 10 years. Sometimes I speak with people who actually want to give me training because they've been paid to do so. And I already feel that there's a mismatch there. Like, no, I mean, first off, probably don't have the experience to give a training. And there's the assumption that we do not know how to start a business, run a business, or come up with innovative ideas, or even do tech. So there's all these assumptions that is around women doing businesses. So they think they're doing good. Like the first is like, let's do this plan, pour 8 billion into it and try and give training to everyone. Training for what?
Yes.
No one asked for training. We just want equal opportunities. We just want to have a visibility for our business, and that's it.
Actually, this kind of project is more like a potential bias.
Yeah, it's called positive action in the legal term, where you are actually creating opportunities for a specific, basically, diversity component or criteria. But sometimes it's applied in the wrong way.
Yes, I understand that. So let's skip this one. Do you think how can AI play the role in supporting this gender change?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I mean, AI itself, obviously, there are a lot of problems in terms of biases that underlies a lot of the large language models that is really, really hard to get rid of. How can it play for social sustainability is really the way that we are doing it, essentially, is to bring up what's hidden, what's ignored by certain algorithms just because they are, let's say, in minority numbers, or they are not. For instance, if you look at the startup world, for instance, there's survivorship bias. There's a lot of biases that are already there that feeds into that bias that becomes a demographic bias. So it's really hard to kind of dissociate every single bias and try and see how do we circumvent each and every one of them. But I think that still leveraging AI to resurface what's being hidden by AI itself is one way of mitigating biases.
Yes. Okay, that's a really good answer. Drishdey, thank you so much for sharing your valuable insights today. Your work in leveraging AI for social sustainability is groundbreaking and has the potential to make a significant impact in the financial sector. And I look forward to seeing how TEXpert AI continues to shape the future of responsible investing. And thank you again for your time.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us for another episode.